It's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. I want to do a quick video update of what's been going on here in the winter. I've done a lot of work inside the house, just working along. I have been working on my shop. Give you a quick little tour here real quick. It's coming along, got some trimming to do, a little bit of painting on some cabinets over here, but the shop's coming along. And I want to show you outside. It is raining, but I wanted to get this video made really quickly. Let's go outside and look at this.
Hi, I'm Jared McGinnis. Thanks for joining me and my family on this adventure, where over the next 2 years, we're going to show you how to change an average subdivision home into a local, sustainable food source for you and your family. From market gardening to orchards, greenhouses, and water catchment systems, it's all right here on Strong Roots Farm.
So I got a local guy, he's delivering some wood chips for me. Got a nice place for him to dump them there, and I've got wood chips now, about 6 feet out from the garden and in every row. I took the wood chips and I went ahead and went all the way to the height of the bed. So I had said I had raised beds before, but I went all the way level. What I'll do is when I bring in compost in the spring right before we seed, I'm gonna put 3 or 4 inches on top of that. I wanna get as deep a bed as I can. So if you go back to my previous videos, you remember I tilled down 3 or 4 inches, mixing in the compost and the mulch that we had. Then I topped it off. I've put in peat, I've put in gypsum, I've put in some calcium. The one thing before I put compost down, I will be putting in some eggshell or oyster shell on top of that to kind of add that calcium. And then my rows will be, raised beds again, and then over time. There's pros and cons about wood chips, so we can talk about that a second. First off, wood chips aren't easy to get, at least where I'm at. Unless you have a guy trimming trees on your road and you can talk him into dumping them for you for free, which they will typically do, they're hard to get. They just don't give them away everywhere. They don't have piles in your local community that you can go and get them always. There are ways to get them though. You can find tree trimming guys. You can get a connection, and maybe your town has a place where they dump and they'll allow people to come and get them. But other than that, you kind of have to get a connection with a guy. Luckily, I saw a guy trimming trees. I was doing some excavating work on another job, and I asked him what he did with them. And in this community, we're gated. There's one way in and 2 ways out, but only one way in. And so it's really a pain for him if he has to leave here to go and dump them at another site, and then has to go all the way back through and get back into where he's working. If he could dump inside the community, which is probably 1,000 acres here, it would be nice. So he's like, heck yeah, please let me dump in here so I don't have to go all the way outside the community. So he's gonna dump them here for me for free. You can see it was a little bit of a mess outside. It does create that. And he's dumping a huge pile. It's not like he spread them for me or anything. He just dumped them in a huge pile and I had to deal with them. So that's one of the cons. If you find them, they're gonna dump them in a big pile. You're gonna have to deal with them. If you try to buy them, there is a local landscaping company close to me. They wanted $20 a yard for raw wood chips. That was given to them for free, but that's their cost. And they're gonna turn them into mulch or whatever for people's landscaping, but they wanted to charge me for them. So finding them is one pro or one negative to the wood chips. The other negative that you'll read about or hear about is, do they draw nitrogen? And I'll just tell you, from my experience and my testing, I haven't seen any negative nutrient-wise due to wood chips in aisles. I haven't put raw wood chips in my beds. Does it make logical sense that they draw nitrogen? Yes, they are a huge carbon source. That's the carbon source that I'm using for my compost. It needs nitrogen to break down the carbon, creating the compost and creating the heat. It makes sense. But if I'm putting them in the aisleways to walk on them, I haven't noticed a decrease in nutrients. I did tests. I did tests with no chips. I did tests with chips only, chips on top of cardboard, chips on top of newspaper. So I've done these tests before. What works best? They all come out about the same as far as plants. It did not affect the plants. So if you got cardboard, you want to put that down first, great, do it. It's a lot of time for me. I don't want to do it. And it didn't change anything in my pathways. They sunk in just the same. It didn't break down faster. It didn't add nutrients. So that's it. So I'm not seeing a negative to that. You might read that or hear that from somebody else. That's not a negative for me. Now let's go to the pros. Visually, it looks a lot nicer. You can definitely tell where my aisles are and where my beds are. People have come in and said, man, your garden just looks so nice. I'm not even growing anything yet, and it looks nice. So it's appealing to the eye. There's pro one. Pro two, you can get out there earlier, meaning it's a hassle to walk through the mud. Nobody wants to fight in the mud and anything. So if it's wet and you say, it's a good excuse to say, I'm not gonna go out there and tear up my garden, it's in the mud. You got wood chips down, you can get out there much earlier and walk and not destroy things. You're obviously not walking on the beds. So you're not, by walking in the mud, if you didn't have wood chips, it's not gonna harm your plants. It's not gonna harm your garden because now we've got our beds built. We're not walking on the beds. But the wood chips lets me get out there and not get dirty. It's nice, it keeps it clean, it looks nice. So that's a huge pro for me. Pro number three for me is they do break down over time and eventually they will add nutrients into the lower soil. It's also a good place for worms when it's wet to come up in through and get water and lay on the sun, but stay in the dark. It's a good place for them. So it does, I have seen a difference where I had wood chips versus aisles that I did not have wood chips in my worm content. So the amount of worms that are around that area. So whether you're seeing that or not, I'm noticing that. So the more worms you have, the better aeration you're gonna get. I am really more and more leaning towards as little dig to no dig kind of a philosophy. I still will broad fork, I'm still tilthering the top, but my plan is I don't till anymore once I build those rows. And I don't know even if I'll broad fork some of them. I'm gonna do some broad fork testing this year, but the wood chips help with that. So there's another pro for you. All in all, super happy with the wood chips, super happy with the way it looks. And obviously I have a pile of wood chips left that I'm using in my compost. And so that'll go there. The one negative of the wood chip pile that I got, I don't know if you caught it on the video, there were some pine trees. It is December, or that was chipped in December. So maybe he, chopped up his neighbor's Christmas tree or something. But so pine is very acidic. It has a lot of sulfur in it. It's good for blueberries. If you can find somebody that's chipping Christmas trees and you have blueberries, throw that stuff around it, that's money. But you will have to watch the pH a little bit. So I will be doing more pH testing on every row to make sure that the areas that have some of that pine needles doesn't affect. So that's it. I want to go over this table. So I needed a table, and there's lots of different things out there. This is my packing table. I like to build things so that they have multiple use. I've learned that from Joel Salatin, and I try to have as many multiple uses for one table as I can. So this is my hybrid packing / tray filling / drying table, and let's go over here. So first off, got my cart here. So I've got an old sink basin. It was split. I got it for $2. I got to put a drain plug in the bottom there. But basically, this is where my soil will be for my trays, right? So I'll take a tray, I'll put it up on here, got wire mesh, and I will scoop out of this, put it in my tray, and then push this back underneath. Do this one-handed. And then I'll dust it off and it'll go back into my bin. That's kind of the plan. So that's one use for this. Second use is a drying rack. So up above, I haven't got it done yet, but I do have the outlet. I'm gonna hang the fans. Like you see a lot of guys in market gardening having a drying rack. Right over here is where my sink is going. You can see the drain and the drain pipe coming out of the floor. My wash sinks and my bubbler will be right here. I'll move those plants over to here. Obviously, I'll pre-wash this from any dirt that would be on it. I'll dump my lettuces and salad greens and salad mixes there, drop my fans down out of the ceiling, and this will also be a drying rack. I will move the cart and stuff from underneath it when I'm drying. Thirdly, I need a packing table. So I've got a little, grandma on and off switch here, lock, and my table folds down into a packing table. So this was an old kitchen table, got at a yard sale. I took all the legs and all the angles off of it and cut the width that I needed and then put a few hinges on it. And so now I can fold it down and I can pack right here on it. And then this outlet here, right here, is where my fridge is gonna be right here. So basically I'm gonna go sink, bubbler, drying rack, fold it down, packing table, boom, right into my fridge. So that's kind of all set up. I'm really proud of this table. I don't know, it was an idea, it was a weird idea. Altogether, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm really happy that I'm gonna get 3 uses. And it's basically because I'm a small scale. So if you're gonna do this on large scale, you should think about having separate areas where you can have, and it's basically workers. So that's the way you have to think about it. I'm one guy doing it one person at a time. And so if I had a one person bubbling, one person drying and packing, and another person packing, or I wanted something drying while I was packing, that this wouldn't work for that, right? So I can't dry and pack at the exact same time. So if you're doing batches where you want something drying and you got somebody over on another table packing it while this is drying, this won't work on a larger scale. But for me, one employee me, it works. I collect it all up, fold my table down, pack away. So now I've saved what most people have as 3 areas. I've got into one. So most people have a propagation or seed tray area. They have a drying area and they have a packing area. I've got it all in one. Conserve the space. But once again, I'm a one guy, urban farming. I'm not doing this for a living. I have a good job. And I'm just trying to educate here. If you're a home gardener and you want to kind of get into this a little bit, just your neighborhood, this is an awesome way to do it. And I'm super excited how I think it's going to work for me. So as we start to use it, we'll see how it turns out, see what you guys think. I did not use treated wood. I've seen a lot of guys not do that, but maybe I should have. And I didn't stain it or water seal it or anything like that. I was more concerned about the lettuce being and the wire being on treated wood than I was and the chemicals than I was the wood rotting away. So treated wood eats wire. It'll eat metal. The chemicals in it will. So it's probably not good for your body with food being on it, and it would deteriorate the wire anyway. So I went with non-treated. Help you. I hope that you're learning something and they become useful. Tell your friends. I appreciate you watching and subscribing. I will post another video. I've got an interesting, another combination item coming up as well. So I will be posting another video very shortly here in the next couple days about that. And it will entail a worm cast bin, compost bin, a propagation table greenhouse, and row cover protection all in one thing. So how can I combine all those together? That'll be coming up here in the next few days. Look for that. And I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you want to see anything, if you got questions about things. I'll be glad to help you however I can. And I've already ordered my seeds, so that's planning here. So you got to think about your spring planting. If you're watching this right now, you should be ordering seeds, thinking about what you want to do, but do it on paper first. Plan it out, plan out your rows, those kind of things. I've already got all that done. I know what I'm going to do, and I've already ordered all my seeds and new trays. I got a few new trays that I needed to order. All of that has been done. And so I will be ready to roll here in another month and a half. I'm planning first tray seeding February 15th, depending on the weather and the almanac and those kind of things. So within a week or two there though, by March 1st at latest, I want to have stuff in trays. So plan that out for yourself and get going. It's about time. I know it's middle of January, but it's right around the corner. I promise you, if you're planning on doing this, get rolling. Have a good day.
As always, thanks for watching. Tell your mama and them. Subscribe and comment to continue with us on this journey. And don't forget to check out Noah Smith at noahsmithmusic.com.